calling you a radical. By the way, that's one historic jersey there. That's the last Lillard from the bookstore given to me as a gift to do the play-by-play. So this is important. You can flee from me all you want. So Damian Lillard, who, what a story. I did the play-by-play when Lillard played there. I did the play-by-play in the first game he ever set foot. I had the ticket stub from it. I did his alumni game last year. I'm yelling at Damian. It's online too. Oh, it's got 600. That video should have millions of views. You know, I'm like, his alumni tournament on 8/24, Kobe. That's not significant. I'm like, they're shooting half quarters. You know, they shoot three for that. Damian, go show him out. He's sitting right there. Damian walks out. First shot, half quarter. So this is important. So I'm really close friends with Randy Ray. I worked for Ronna Baglin for years. I was a millionaire. I taught at Weber State for years when I was an adjunct professor. I ran the incredible new MBA program at Weber for a few years, and now it's went from number one to last. By the time Damian got there, the MBA program and the Weber State School of Business was a pathetic joke. I had a major fight with him. As you know, I got cancer. While Damian was playing there, I got leukemia. You know, and I'm going to write a book, a snowball. Trevon Smith, who was there at the same time, the all-time leading rusher in the history of Weber State for 100 years, beat to death in a jail cell last year. So this is important because Damian Lillard, as you know, I've been going off and I've been going off and I've been going off. They laughed at him. I mean, his story's incredible. Oh, I knew. I remember talking to Randy Ray when I signed as a freshman. You know, I'm like, whoa. I knew. I'm like, I always knew. You know, by the way, you know, I said the same thing about Ruben Nemhart. I said the same. I mean, when with Coach Baglin, what a great team. But there's a curse on the team. I call it the Wattis curse. 99, free throw to go to the Sweet 16. How about when Ruben shut down Iverson, completely shut him down? Hail Mary. I mean, that team was that good. They might have won the national championship. They were that good in 95. I did the play-by-play. You know, I didn't, for free. Every time they got in trouble, that school, for years, they would run to me. You know, and say, hey. And so, Manny and I fucking ran that fucking radio station. You know, Manny was, they blackballed me. Damian would have been in my fucking class if I didn't get cancer and had the fucking fight. But anyway, when I told him to fuck off, when they turned into supply chain, all that. So he's done an interview, a podcast with Green, which I've always been a fan of his. That fucker don't take no shit. Oh, he'll fight you. You know, he was the heart and soul of that fucking incredible Warriors team. Now, where's your crown? As I'm going to write a book from NBA from Hardheads. It's disgusting. It's disturbing. So he's done an interview with, and he said in his interview, and how many times have I said this? Play back the tape, you know, and you can all flee from me. And here's how my videos and my past going to work. People are going to look back in time and they're going to say, what the fuck was the matter with this American populace? Why this apocalypse was going down? This cancer's fucking nightmare, this Fukushima meltdown nightmare, all this. By the way, it's historic because Damian played in the house the nuclear energy built. How many videos have I done there? And there are people going to look back and say, was what, the whole country hypnotized? And then somebody's going to say, oh, look at this. Look at this video. It's got 311 views. Look. Oh. So he does this podcast with Green, and he says, my high school coach laughed at me when I told him I was going to play in the NBA. So this is So when he played at Weber State here, the media, including the local media, the standards, nobody would touch him with a 10-foot pole. Nobody would touch Weber State. It was all Jimmer, BYU, Jimmer. I was doing the Jamie Lillard's podcast last year, and some fucking douchebag kid who was in the class was doing it with me and started talking about fucking Jimmer. Last year I said, shut the fuck up. I threw him off the fucking station. Threw him out of the class, you know. Well, I didn't, but the guy who ran the class did. Manny did. You know? So I got fired for saying fuck the NCAA. I mean, how can you fire somebody from a non-paying job? This is important, and I'll tell you why, because when Fukushima happened, the year before it happened, let me tell this story. This is an important story because it's recorded history. So I would come in through the back door, through the tunnel, when Lillard played there. God, they had athletes on the team. There's 13 players in Europe. I call it Randy Ray's boot camp. You know, by the way, Jarek Harden's the best player who ever fucking played there. And I had a conversation with Jarek. It's online. Before he set the school record in the Weber State Library. It's online. It's all online. I said, don't even mess around with the supplemental fucking draft. They're just going to waste Joe Ball'n'Boy, fucking Jeremy Siegel. They're going to waste a year of your fucking time. Just, if they start fucking with you, just sign the contract in Europe and go. I live in Europe. I'm in Vienna this fucking time of year every year, but I can't go, and I'm out of money. I've got cancer. I'm wiped out, blah, 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 and they won't let us in. By the way, Zach Braxton's playing in fucking Vienna, and they won it. Oh, he did. I've had a huge influence up there over the years. Go ask Randy Ray. So, Damian Lillard breaks his foot. This is important. Really historic and important. Just a couple days before he's going to play against BYU Jimmer. Which, by the way, Weber State basketball in its historic fucking thing has never beat BYU at BYU. Never in its history. Which is another part of the Wise curse. So, I remember the game he broke it. Because we were in Wendover. Everybody's out in Wendover, and my friends are all betting it. I says, why are you betting this? You got an NBA player at Weber State right there. By the way, Lillard's 1 year, I think, against the point spread, they went fucking 28-1. That's what they've done for years. I mean, it's like free money for the gambling crowd. And he broke his foot in that game. It's ironic because, you know, Carl Archie used to do the play-by-play for KLO. You know, Steve Klauke does it now. And I like Steve, but he's dry as fucking grass, you know, and he doesn't know the dynamic. And I did for the radio show, off and on for years. I worked for the team. So I remember walking in the tunnel one day, and Damian's sitting in a chair. Shooting. I never saw a work ethic like this guy. So the same night they play. He's got the boot on. So I sit with Frank Layden. Frank Layden said, fuck the Jazz like I did. And, you know, that Fort Greene, New York guy, I would sit with Frank. You know, I'd do the play-by-play. After the game, I'd go visit with Frank. A lot of times when I didn't do the play-by-play, I'd sit with Frank. I did the play-by-play that night of that game for the radio station. And I'd go up and sit after the game, sit by Frank. And I'm visiting with Frank because he's one of my favorite people in the history of the world. I love that fucking guy. And Phil Johnson, who was assistant to the judge, coached at Weber. Dick Motta coached at Weber. All those guys, I'm in that circle. Of course, they all fucking turned their back on me, including, you know, what they did to Bobby Sloan. It's fucking heartbreaking, the fucking dirtbag Jazz. So, I'm sitting there with Frank. And a scout for the Utah Jazz comes. They're playing Eastern Washington. Eastern Washington had a phenomenal player in those fucking days. And he walks over. Hey, Frank. Oh, hi. What are you doing here? I'm scouting a player. Oh, yeah? Who you scouting, Frank says. And remember, this is Frank Layden who found John Stockton, who found Karl Malone. By the way, John Stockton, I watched him play up at Weber State, and, you know, before Gonzaga was anything. And he says, this kid from Eastern, blah, blah. I looked right at the scout. You can go ask Frank Layden. And I pointed, there's Damian sitting right there. He's in the boot. And I says, there's your NBA player right there. And the scout laughed. The Utah Jazz laughed. I mean, and everybody laughed. And all of a sudden, right at the end of the draft, his stock started to soar. We all knew what he was. I mean, by the way, I told Randy, he's so physical, and he'd post up like they used to in Nemhart, like a Bagley used to in Nemhart, just boom, jump out of the gym, just slam it. I mean, he was so physical. I mean, I shook his hand lots of times. He had these giant hands. I'm like, this guy is incredible. And then he was so disciplined. And you go into that fucking gym at the D Event Center, the dude was there 24/7. I mean, he never left. By the way, Randy says his cousin was a better athlete than him. And I'm like, oh yeah. But he didn't have the work ethic that Damian had. I says, who the fuck does? And Randy Ray looks at me, you, Kevin? Yeah, oh boy. I got cancer while Damian was playing there. I got AML, was in a bone marrow transplant. When I came out, I sat with my nurse when they played in the Bracket Buster. They got a Bracket Buster game that game, and they played that upstart, great Arlington, Texas team, and Damian's best game he ever played. I was in there with my central line with my nurse, you know, with my eyes going sicker than fuck. Walk across that campus, belt-headed. They were ahead by 22 points at halftime in that Big Sky Championship game. How do you lose with Damian Lillard on the floor? Oh, they did. It's a curse, you know. How many times have I gone out? But I knew what he was. We all knew. I remember Randy, I was like, this dude can shoot from downtown like no other. And he says, yeah, he won't. We keep trying to talk. He's disciplined. He's disciplined. I said, well, he needs to start shooting out there more. I remember the second year of the championship up at Montana. And they're way behind. Then Lillard just, you could see him. He said, fuck it. And just at the end of that game, just started dropping fucking 35-footers. Boom, boom. I'm like, there's the Lillard I've watched. They laughed at him. It's like when everybody told me I couldn't survive cancer. My whole point to all this is I've always supported him, and then they don't support me. And this is important because of Black Lives Matter, because Black Lives Matter was most likely started by Kevin Blanch. I mean, not in what it is now. It's corrupt as fuck now. I mean, it's corporate hoarding. But you go back to the Million Masks, why I'm fuck full cancer, why Damian was on the fucking thing, play back. There's videos of Damian walking behind me when I'm standing by the pond doing those fucking videos. When I fucking come up with the Million Mask March, which I call Post Ignorance, me and the Boston boys, and, you know, led the marches, did all the thing, which was all based on the death of Danielle Willard, shot in the face here in Utah. Murdered by cop capital of the world. And this is important because Breonna Taylor, you know, and Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal needed to shut his fucking mouth. What about his little sister and cancer? What about the owner of the Trailblazers, Paul Allen, is $60 billion? You know, he died of this. That's my point. This is the fucking great equalizer. So Breonna Taylor's murder is way worse than George Floyd's, and I'll tell you why. And George Floyd's is as hideous as get. The worst one in history is Danielle Willard here in Utah. That's how Black Lives Matter started in 2012 by Kevin Blanch on the death of Danielle Willard. Why Damian's on the campus. Say his fucking name. So, you know, it's fucking sad how they turned their fucking back on me. That's what they fucking do. So Breonna Taylor, they said they were going in to get the drug dealing boyfriend. That was the old boyfriend. She broke up with him long ago. Why would they go to her apartment? Did you know the warrant was issued and they already knew that the guy they were looking for they had the day earlier in custody? He was in jail. And they still went in there and murdered her? Which, by the way, Damian Lillard was on the campus when the Matthew Stewart nightmare, right by the stadiums where that happened. He was there. That was in 2012, January 2012. The fucking marijuana leaf, no knock fucking warrant, fucking he down, hold down, shoot out thousands of fucking bullets, which ended up getting fucking a cop killed, another cop on Matthew Stewart fucking killed for nothing. It amazes me. So and this is important, and it doesn't really matter how many views, and it doesn't matter about political dogma at this point. You know, and everybody's turned their back on me and fucking run away from me because they're drinking fucking some kind of fucking political dogma Kool-Aid, and you know, I've learned. Start talking about cancer, they will run from you. So, I'll say this to Damian Lillard. Her name is Danielle Willard. You know, Trevon Smith, say his name, and you know what, I've always supported Damian. I told people I did interview on the fucking radio show. I used to say, there's your NBA star. And he's the greatest fucking first rounder for, oh no. That'd be Willie Sojourner. Fuck, what a player. That's the guy who named Dr. J. I can go, ask Dick Monta, ask Phil Johnson, ask Gene Vischer. They all coach there, I know them all. You know, go ask Randy fucking Ray. Yeah, I worked for Randy for that team for years. For free, because I give myself away. Here's him with his $1 billion contract. And he come out, it's out today. My high school coach laughed at me. So did the fucking Utah Jazz. Why do you think he lights up the Jazz like a Christmas tree every time he plays them? And by the way, every time he gets the field, because you know what the NBA is. It's fucking so fucked up. You know, LeBron. By the way, the GOAT, that's the GOAT. That'd be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. What? He's lived 30 years with chronic leukemia. I've lived 9 years with acute AML de novo, which is a death sentence. But fuck me. So it's just important to get it in the library. You know, you got to record history for what it is. If you have a great story and it doesn't get fucking told, then no one will ever know. So they can all turn their back on me. I really don't give a fuck. You know, it's been a heartbreaking fucking lonely battle. And I get fired from Weber State for a job that don't even get paid. Because I say fuck the NCAA. Say your name. Damian Lillard? No, Danielle Willard. Say his name. His name was Trevon Smith, number 25. Beat to death in a jail cell. Born on the 4th of July. Stand tuned.